Hello, my name is Michele and I like to minimize. Today we're talking about the 4 big moves. Welcome to the I Cut the Mustard show, where a plant-based diet and small, simple moves make healthy change happen. And where we believe that you already have what it takes to slice through any barrier that stands in your way. Shing! You're sharp enough. You cut the mustard. All right, let's get started. Today, we're going to talk about the 4 big moves that create healthy change in your life, no matter what goals you have. In the last episode, we talked about how it's not just about food, and then when we want to create healthy change in our lives, we need to broaden our perspective and look at a few more things that are going on. And have you ever done that exercise? Sometimes they call it like the sunflower exercise or the wheel exercise, where it's a circle and there's different lines going off on the paper, and each line represents a different area of your life, whether it be spiritual, physical, what's your relationship like, how much time are you spending with your family, that sort of thing. And each of the spokes is a different piece of your life. There's about 8 spokes on there. And then you kind of evaluate on a scale of 1 to 10. How is my life doing in this area? You put a little dot where you think you're at, and you do that all the way around the circle. And then you can connect the dots and kind of see what your circle of life looks like. And if there's a lot of areas where you're scoring a 1 or a 2, then you might be feeling very small and out of control. But if you're scoring high on the scale all the way around, then you feel pretty balanced, like your life is open and it's amazing, right? So I love that exercise. It's a great one, but it also has 8 little spokes. And again, I can't even remember them whenever I'm trying to explain that to you, because 8 is just too many. And my name is Michele and I like to minimize. Okay, so I think one problem that we have is that whenever we try to make a change, we say, okay, I'm going to exercise every day. I'm going to eat all these healthy foods, XYZ. I'm going to do all these different things. And we have this huge list. And then we get lost because we can't remember the 10 million things that we're supposed to be doing. So I think that's one tendency that we have. On the other scale, I like to minimize, right? But on the other end of the scale is what we talked about last week, where we can hone in on just 1 or 2 things and only focus on those things, hyper focus, and then that little circle gets out of balance again because we're focusing only on 1 or 2 things, like we're exercising like crazy, or maybe we're just focusing on food, and that can throw our lives out of balance, right? So today I'm going to give you my 4 areas that I like to look at that I think are easy to remember and can help us to stay right on track. And the way I like to think about it is that you only need 4 small moves in your life at one time that you're working on, 4 or less, that will make healthy change happen, because it's really those small moves that make things move forward in your life. For example, I'm going to give you one of mine. One of the small moves in my life is going to bed on time. This is a huge small move for me because it means that I don't snack at night before bed. If I stay up late, I tend to want popcorn or other things, right? And then it means that I wake up early in the morning refreshed. When I wake up early in the morning refreshed, I like to exercise. I want to go out and exercise, which leaves me feeling fabulous during the day. All of my creativity comes in the morning, so I get so much more done in the morning. I write a bunch of stuff down for work, for this podcast, for other things that I'm doing, and it's like 10xing my efforts for the rest of the day. Whenever I go teach my class in the mornings, I get to meet people, which is super fun too. So that one little thing of going to bed early for me creates this chain reaction of lots of fabulous things in my life and creates a beautiful day for me, more productive day, a day where I get to connect and meet people. And so for me, that's one little move that I make sure that I do in my life so that I can make healthy change happen in my own life. And I think that's true for all of us. We just need to identify those little teeny moves for us that will create that big ripple effect and help us move forward on our goals and create a happier, healthier life. But as you can see, I only have to focus on that one little thing because the rest kind of follows. And I'm actually doing 5 or 10 things right there, but I only have to focus on that one thing to make it happen. So I hope that makes sense. So I want to share with you the 4 areas that I like to look at to make sure that my moves are balanced. And this is especially for people who are interested in becoming healthier, in losing weight, and to stop overeating and to just feel better, like if you're having digestive issues or anything like that. These 4 moves work in other areas of life like business or finances or relationships, but the 4 that I'm going to talk about today specifically apply to health things because that's what this podcast is all about, right? Making healthy change happen. So the 4 different areas are, number 1, what are you eating? You want to create a goal around what you are eating. The number 2 is how you are eating. This is a huge one that is often overlooked. We'll talk about it a little bit more. So what are you eating? How are you eating? And then number 3 is a connection goal. This could be connection with your family, with friends, with a deity or a higher power. Those are the connection goal. And then one goal around energy, an energy goal is what I like to call it. Something that energizes you, leaves you feeling alive and excited. So let's break those down a little bit more. I already explained to you how if you just create a little teeny goal in each of these areas, it can create a chain reaction that makes a big difference. It's like knocking down that big domino that knocks down those other dominoes in the row, right? So the reason that I want to emphasize in these 4 areas is, number 1, your food makes a difference. We talked about that last week. Whenever you're eating whole foods, especially plant-based foods, that's filling you with the nutrition and the energy and the life that you need to move forward. We've seen and heard all of those great testimonials because that's true. It's a huge, big thing in our lives. And if we can get our diet right, that's going to solve a lot of our problems. So that's why it's made such a difference for so many people. But going a little bit deeper to create one simple move around that would be to say, I'm going to have vegetables at every meal, right? Do you see how that's a little bit smaller, but it's also creating that big domino effect? So this little goal for you will depend on where you're at in your journey. Maybe you've been doing a plant-based diet for a while, but you're still haven't quite given up sugar. So your one small goal may be to reduce sugar by a serving every day, or only eat sugar once a week, or something like that. And if you're just starting in the plant-based diet, it might be something more like what I mentioned. I'm going to eat a vegetable first at every meal, and that's going to ensure that I'm getting most of my nutrients, and that'll reduce the animal foods and the junk foods that I'm eating. Or you could have a goal around processed foods, that you're going to eliminate processed foods. Or maybe it's one about whenever you go out to eat, what you're going to eat when you go out, that sort of thing. So just look in your life right now about what you're eating, and you can very easily find one thing that's going to make a big difference in your life. Most of us already know what we need to do, right? So go ahead and write that down. Then the how goal, how to eat, makes a huge difference. This is what I was talking about last episode with my digestive issues. I was eating all of the right foods, but I was so stressed out when I was eating them. My intestines, my stomach is just like in a huge, huge knot. So there's no way that healthy food is being digested properly. And therefore, I was having some major digestive issues, even though I was eating the right foods. This one is a huge, huge one that a lot of people overlook because, again, we're focusing on what foods we're eating, and we don't realize that if we slow down, take a big breath before we eat, relax, and chew our food, all of these things make a huge difference in how the food gets digested and what our body can do with the food. And there's this really cool experiment that I'll have to elaborate on in a future episode, but there is a Japanese professor who did a lot of experiments with water, and he found that he would say words to the water and then freeze it. And he found that angry words created angry shapes with the water, and nice words created like smooth, flowy kind of shapes with the water. And I love that experiment because it shows just how much our whole lives are connected together, and everything we do is connected to the energy that we have, to the words that we use. So for that example specifically, let's say I'm sitting down for a nice, delicious plant-based meal with my family, but we're fighting about something again, and I just keep screaming at my children, or my husband and I are upset or something. If you just take that example of the water, just imagine what it's doing to my food whenever I'm yelling over my food that way. Or even just how I'm thinking about the food, I'm sure makes a huge difference that we can't necessarily measure inside our bodies. But that's just one thing. So you've got your what to eat goal down. Then your how to eat goal could be some of those things that I mentioned. Maybe you're saying grace before your meal and just thanking God for the meal that you have, or the universe, or whoever it is that you believe in. Maybe you're chewing, maybe you're taking big breaths before to calm down, or maybe you're sitting at the table, maybe you're making it beautiful. Whatever it is, just pick one small goal that you think is going to make a big difference and push down those dominoes for you. The third goal that I would say is important is a connection goal. We as humans love to be connected, right? We want to feel like that we belong. And so a connection goal is really great, something that centers you. So again, this can be something that connects you to God or a deity, something that connects you to your family or your friends. Maybe you're just feeling connected to yourself by journaling. So thinking of one way that you can feel connected to yourself or something higher, especially, that'll be really great. Maybe it's as simple as reading a holy text for you, or listening to some amazing, inspiring podcasts. Or maybe it's joining a group where you do service together and you connect with the world. You feel like you're making a difference in the world. Maybe you join up with a political group that you're really passionate about, okay? But you're connecting back to something that's higher, that gives you more of a purpose in life. And again, that will knock over some dominoes for you. It'll help you feel better. So you'll want to show up in a different way. You'll want to eat healthier. You'll want to do things that are in alignment with your values. And that'll create happiness and joy and good vibes in your life and in your health, right? And give you energy that you need to move forward. The last goal that I suggest is an energy goal. So this can be a variety of things. For me, I love exercising. That gives me energy. I love to write in my journal, honestly, because that re-energizes me. I'm sort of an introvert extrovert, so I get a lot of energy from meeting with people and working out together and doing things together, hands-on things, talking to people and learning their stories. That really energizes me. But I also get a lot of energy from just sitting down and journaling and reflecting on my day and writing down gratitude and things like that. So just thinking of one thing that energizes you. It could be yoga. It could be going to get a massage. It could be tanning. It could be getting a pedicure, or relaxing in the bath at night. You know what things kind of help you re-energize for the day. So maybe it could be a calming, relaxing things to recharge, or maybe it could be something motivational and more like exciting, like you're going on a big run, or you're doing something crazy, you're going to a concert or whatever, just planning that in your day as well. And then once you've identified each of those 4 small moves, you can start incorporating them into your life, and it'll make a huge difference. But you won't be overwhelmed because you're only focusing on 4 little tiny things. Another thing I recommend is to just take them 1 month at a time. Or if it's your New Year's resolution, you take that big goal, you break it down into those little tiny goals that are going to help you reach that big goal. And then maybe you only work on one tiny goal every 3 months. So the first 3 months, I focus on eating only vegetables or eating a vegetable with every meal. Then the second 3 months, I focus on just chewing and relaxing while I eat. Then the third 3 months, I focus on connecting. I join I join a political group that I really love, and I focus on that and contributing to the world. And then in the last 3 months of the year, I'm just going to take some time to relax and do yoga, and I'm going to join a yoga group, right? So I've got my 4 things. I've got them written down. I'm just doing them one at a time. I've had 3 months to work on each one. So I'm really good at it. By the end of the 3 months, I'm ready to move on to the next one. And by the end of the year, even though I've only focused on 4 little tiny things, I've made a huge difference in my year. So I hope that gives you a good idea of how little moves can make a big difference for your health. I would love to hear what your small moves / big moves are that you're making. So just go to icutthemustard.com/2 for episode 2 and leave a comment below. Let me know how you're doing. I'll answer all of those comments, and we will talk to you next time. Bye. Yoo-hoo! Thanks for jamming with me. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and click subscribe before you leave, and I'll see you next time for another great episode of the I Cut the Mustard show.